happy to get into it for sure. LA riots, obviously a big thing in the news. So Coleman, we're going to get into the LA riots today.
Ooh.
Talk a little bit about this nonsense. Everybody, welcome to Youth Bombs. We are the voice of young conservatives here in Alachua County. Obviously, I'm not that young.
I'm pretty young though.
Yeah, but you are, and summertime here around Gainesville is a little short on young adults. So you got to put up with me.
Well, I mean,
you got to put
like,
up with me today.
Oh man, I mean, it does feel like summer, like definitely right now. I'm like, it's crazy humid in this area.
Well, we know it's summer because now we've got riots.
Oh yeah, that too.
Right.
You know,
It's riot season, and I still have my Ukraine decorations up for crying out loud. Well, we had riots, LA riots back in 1992. And that was
I wasn't born yet, Tim, so can you tell me what happened there?
Well, Rodney King got arrested, and
what did he do?
I think it was drug-related. I can't remember the whole details, but the reason why he got arrested is not so much as what happened afterwards.
Yeah, I think it was the verdict. Yeah, right.
Yeah, the video showed, or at least certainly painted a picture of excessive use of force by the LAPD.
Mm-hmm.
Several of them went to trial. There was a Mark Harmon, I think, was one of the popular police officers, or maybe he was involved in the the leadership.
I wouldn't know.
It was a super ugly scene. Riots ensued, and I actually kind of looked up here for the purposes of the episode, and it says when the riots, including multiple shootouts, had ended, 63 people had been killed, over 2,300 had been injured, and more than 12,000 arrests with an estimated property damage of over $1 billion.
Yikes!
And I don't know what we are honing in on here for the 2025 edition of the LA riots.
Yeah, it seems like I would say that they are milder than the 1992, but they're still bad. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So like they're still pretty bad. Like there's still riots. They're still causing mayhem and destruction. So they're just not at the scale of 1992. Thankfully.
So what has sparked this recent edition of the riots?
So
tell our viewers what the deal is here.
Okay.
Everybody doesn't know already, but it certainly sets the foundation for the conversation, right?
Yeah. So trigger and context on June 6th. Just a few days ago, ICE conducted raids at multiple locations, including workplaces like Home Depot stores and a clothing store in Fashion District, arresting individuals suspected of illegal migration. And apparently, Los Angeles, a sanctuary city with significant Latino population, like, you want to guess how many Latino people are there?
I'm guessing 50%.
Well, I don't have a percentage, but it's 3.8 million. So that's not necessarily illegals. Like, not all Latinos are illegal, obviously, but there is a great. But I think part of the marketing with this riot is like, oh, it's race specific. We're only going after like the Latinos, right? But that's not what's happening. So, and then this obviously upset people. It's like, why are you going to like stores like Home Depot and clothing stores? Like these are peaceful gatherings, but again, the idea here is people here are residing illegally. That's breaking the law. That's why they have to be targeted. But anyway, so you have protests and escalation. Then the protests began June 6th, primarily in a 5-block stretch of downtown Los Angeles. Now, what do we got here? We got protesters. They blocked the streets. Not good. Threw objects like rocks and bottles. Not good. That's a riot. And setting fires. Also not good. And this is mostly peaceful, right, Tim? So, including 5 Waymo self-driving cars all on fire on June 8th, causing, well, not quite, $1 billion in damage, but how about 800,000? Is that a lot? Yeah.
Yeah.
I say that's a lot.
That'll go up tenfold before it's all over.
Yeah. Sure. And then we got graffiti and vandalism targeting federal buildings like ICE. I won't say the F word, but vandalism targeting federal buildings and businesses, with 23 businesses reportedly torched. Not great.
So my insurance background tells me also civil unrest is not a covered loss.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh. So why would I guess is it sort of taken for granted that American citizens shouldn't reasonably expect I don't know, vandalism as like a adverse event to be, watching out for or insured for?
Well, I think it's probably just the unpredictability nature that the insurance companies just don't want to get involved in. And it's just listed as an exemption.
But that's funny to me.
Terrorism was another one that was listed, as I recall.
As like not covered by insurance.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's funny enough how these protests are actually starting to become predictable. Like, if I were an insurance company, I would actually like maybe raising rates during the summer, and like include a plan of like, here's your BLM coverage plan.
Like a rider?
Yeah, exactly.
A policy rider?
Yeah, exactly. I'm a policy writer. Apparently, you're in a Democrat city.
Now you're thinking.
There's BLM or 5051's going to protest there. I'm going to insure you at this rate, but hey, once your business gets burned down, we'll got you covered. So, but yeah, I mean, it's sad that what's going on, really.
You really are a capitalist. So the LA population, or at least the greater LA area, is a little over 18 million. So if there's 3.5, you said what, 3.5?
Yeah, so
you said 3.5 million?
Yeah, so like that's like 1/6, or well, hold on. So
a tenth would be 1.8 million. So you had 3 times that. So
so let's say 3.8. That's 4.
Let's say 20-ish%.
Yeah, 2 out of 9, 2/9. Yeah, that are Latino, which is still significant. How about, so then we got the federal response, right? This is when I guess, as a Democrat say, this was mostly peaceful until federal law enforcement got involved. So it was National Guard. They started on June 7th. They started with 2,000 troops. And then we got additional 2,000 on June 9th. And you got Marines on June 10th with 700 of those guys. All on which like to quell mostly peaceful protests.
Was there any explanation about the whole posse comitatus element here of military being deployed on U.S. soil?
Can you explain what you mean by posse comitatus?
Well, it's just it. There's an element that the U.S. military is not allowed to be deployed on U.S. soil, particularly against its own citizens.
So so there's a few. I looked into that, I guess, sort of like on a radio show. I guess what's called X Basis show now.
Okay.
But so ideally, in a functioning government, you would have the president seeking approval from the governor of, in this case, California, in advance before deploying the National Guard and then by extension Marines. Problem with that is, well, the government of California is inept and doesn't want to do anything.
And anti-Trump.
So
at their core, they're just anti-Trump also.
Yes. So because they didn't want to cooperate or provide National Guard to like quell the unrest, the federal government was like, okay, well, we have to step in then. And then there's like 2 cases of precedent of happening that before in the United States.
Yeah.
But again, that's just sort of like a political, I guess, a legal gray area where there's precedent. So you could argue that in court that it wasn't justified here. But I guess logically, I would argue it's justified because.
Well, the premise was that they were going in there to protect the federal buildings and protect, I guess, the federal workers themselves. And posse comitatus, I just looked it up. The formula is that it's an 1878 law.
Yeah.
So this is a very old law in the books. It generally forbids the U.S. military, including the National Guard, from participating in civil law enforcement.
Yeah, so if I were a libertarian, I would probably be using that to argue against the federal response we see now.
So they have. I think that's fair. I think the threading of the needle is probably coming in from defense of the federal buildings.
Yeah.
If I had to guess, I haven't really, dove super into the narrative. I was on vacation last week and kind of turned a lot of this stuff off. But
justifiably so. Yeah.
And it does. This search does say that President Trump cited Title 10, specifically 10 U.S. Code 12406, to deploy the National Guard troops to California following protests against immigration raids. So it was against the immigration raids. And constitutionally, the federal government is responsible for enforcing the border. I suspect there is probably an element of this as well. But
so I know
if you remember,
it started with ICE being involved, right? Yeah. So the government was involved in this situation to begin with.
And Homan is on record of saying, don't get in our way.
Correct.
Basically, don't get in our way. Mm-hmm. So, basically you had these, two, forces coming together at the same time.
Yeah.
Which was, again, completely predictable. We've talked about it before. What this stuff is going to happen, and this is exactly, what they're trying to get to happen. Have you heard about anybody getting killed in any of these riots yet?
I've heard rumors of police being killed, yes.
Oh, wow.
But I haven't confirmed that yet. Hopefully that's not the case, right?
Yeah, no,
I mean, I know police are definitely getting beaten, that's for sure, because they're getting stuff pelted at them or thrown at them.
Yeah, I've seen some of the video of the stuff getting thrown at them, but they actually have some pretty decent protection nowadays. I saw stuff that I'd never seen before. Actually, I saw a horse had a shield over its eyes.
Oh yeah,
which was new to me. I had never saw that before.
Yeah, I think that's in part probably to keep the horse steady, even in an unruly situation, because the horse has too much vision and it sees these crazy people, it will lose control.
Sure, true.
But I guess it's also part to protect the horse from beatings and whatnot.
Yeah.
But I guess the problem here, Tim, is that these protester networks are also getting more sophisticated as well. Mm-hmm. In tandem with law enforcement becoming more advanced.
Yeah. Well, I had
and defunded, by the way.
Yeah, so, I had written a piece. You can check it out at the Alachua Republicans Facebook page, and it's just kind of talking about the whole strategic element of this, and it's referred to as the pincer movement. And you have it's a military term where you have pressure from below and pressure from above. So you have this angle of the street level protest, which is the below pressure.
Yes.
And then you have calls by representatives, particularly elected representatives,
like the government,
to have the government, come in and do something. Al Sharpton did this during BLM. I think Birmingham, Alabama now actually has a national police running their police department. So the goal here is just to get us desensitized to more and more government. I blame this on the globalists. I blame this on all that sort of mentality where people have no allegiance to the country, and what ends up happening is you're destroying the middle. It's really about destroying the middle, because under socialism, there is no middle class. You have the haves and the have-nots.
Yes, correct.
So you see all these various attacks on the middle class, because the middle class represents the biggest threat to the upper class, from a financial and an authority standpoint.
Yeah, they have the most resources, second to the upper class, to mobilize.
Yeah, just by definition, right? Yeah, just by definition. So you got to get rid of the middle class. This is a strategy to do so, and it has varying degrees. You can go read what I wrote on the page, but it's varying
link
degrees.
In description. I guess we can put link in description.
Yeah. Yes, it's varying degrees. It comes and goes. It's not specifically scripted, and the initiating beginning elements are completely orchestrated.
Yeah.
But the response is typically orchestrated informally through known, expected, understandable human behavior. If you throw something at a police officer, he's
they will
going
retaliate.
To react. Yeah. So you get enough people in a pressure cooker on opposite sides of a situation.
Yes.
That all stuff becomes, speaking about insurance, that all stuff becomes predictable. So it's not specifically orchestrated per se, but just history tells you, human behavior tells you, what you can expect, and that's why I kind of encourage people, with the No Kings riots from yesterday. We don't need to get sucked into those kinds of things, because
what
they are begging for that predictable response where eventually somebody throws a bottle and then somebody throws back something. I mean, let's go back to the Battle of Lexington and Concord. You have these two, you have the British and you have the colonialists. They come together, meeting forces. Eventually, something sets it off.
Yes.
And boom, it just kind of blows up. It sets the spark and it blows up. And these situations are sort of drummed up to create that spark and that response to basically, like I said, just kind of desensitize us to more government. And you'll hear all this stuff come out. Oh, well, I'm glad so-and-so finally did something. And both sides of the aisle have their own political talking points, both pro and con. And it's, we can't do this without, the federal response. And I mean, in my thought, I think you just let LA sleep in the bed they make. I'm not really sure I care if the place burns to the ground.
Well, the problem with that, Tim, is that you do have like law-abiding citizens that are subject to, well, I guess I classify this as anarcho-tyranny, where it's mob rule. Like, people's innocent cars are being burned, and like law-abiding, citizens' businesses are also burned by extension. So it's a matter of, it's easy for, I guess, us safe in Gainesville to justify, let's let LA rot. But then we have, law-abiding citizens in the area that we still need to protect. So that's why, I guess, we can't just let it go. You know what I mean? And I guess that's the same logic with, like, internationally as well. Whereas, like, if we wanted to be true isolationists, I guess we could. Problem with that is we have all these embassies now in all these foreign countries. And then by extension, we also have, U.S. citizens in these foreign countries. So that's why we still sort of justify getting involved in foreign affairs to an extent.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, my position is not non-interventionist, so don't get me wrong.
Right, I know.
My position is just non-interventionalism. I don't think we should have, the embassies all over the place. I mean, geography is such an insignificant aspect now with the level of technology and surveillance. I mean, people disclose almost everything that you need to know about on their social media nowadays. So not too much is a surprise. And you could argue to me, the first person on the ground, understanding of what's going on in certain places is valuable. I don't probably discount that at all. But I mean, I think there's 800 different bases around the country or around the world now that we're occupying. And I don't know. Sometimes just when I'm laying in bed at night, I want
when Tim's laying,
I can understand why. I can understand why some of these people are just understandably angry about the U.S. being in their backyard.
Yeah, true. And then I guess there's...
Which is way off the LA riots topic. I apologize.
I mean, you're good. I'm the one who brought it up, but yeah. I guess so you call it a pincer strategy, right? Basically to... I guess it's sort of a problem reaction solution type of dialect where you're saying
there is it is deployed within the Hegelian dialectic, believe it or not.
Well, Hegelian dialectic's more complicated than
it is.
But you get that from what's this, like Yuri Bezmenov, I think, that what clip where he tried to say that Hegelian dialectic was thesis, antithesis, synthesis. That idea goes back further than Hegel, but I guess it's to be strict about that. But the idea itself still holds merit insofar as we've seen it play out. I just don't attribute it to Hegel. You know what I mean? So,
Yuri Bezmenov was actually a speaker for the John Birch Society.
Really? That's fascinating. Is he still alive, by the way?
I don't think so. I mean, the older videos that I've seen of him, he looked like he was in his 60s, in the 60s.
Yeah, in 60s, in the 60s.
So he'd be well over 100.
So it'd be 120 in the 120s, yeah.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to just continue to watch and see what happens. Obviously, there's going to be other stuff downstream and more conversations about this. And hey, we'll have, a whole new news cycle in 24 hours, right?
Oh, yeah.
Well, thank you for joining us for this episode of Youth Bombs. Again, if you ever want to get in touch with us, youthbombs@alachuarepublicans.com, or you can leave a comment on any of the social media posts for us. But we appreciate you checking us out, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe on YouTube. Thanks a lot, and have a great day.
Bye.